Welcome to Central News, I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, a new pregnancy counselling service is available in the Tauranga area and is aiming to better educate women of all the choices available. While Pregnancy Choice is not pro-life, Coordinator Janice Tetley-Jones says she feels there is not enough information about the emotional effects some women experience after an abortion. Janice says Pregnancy Choice is exploring all options in depth available and supporting her clients throughout the difficult decision process.
Well, initially I think they feel shock. They think, how can this happen to me? It wasn't meant to happen. And denial and anxiety of what to do. But it can be a different door perhaps than what they were planning to go through, and we can sit and talk with them and help them work through what they will do.
Bay of Plenty District Health Board is encouraging the use of wahakura and pepe pods to help prevent sudden infant death syndrome. While there is still no known cause for sudden infant death syndrome, health experts believe co-sleeping can be dangerous and lead to a parent accidentally suffocating their baby. Wahakura and pepe pods are designed as a flat cradle-like basket that baby can sleep in and can be placed on the bed in between the parents. Midwife leader for the DHB, Margaret Norris, says the DHB is supporting the use of these alternatives, especially to those cultures where co-sleeping is common.
This is one way that parents can share their bed with their babies safely. It keeps the baby safe. It has its own sleeping area. The pepe pods are something that is easily accessible, whereas the wahakuras are handmade by local woman on the Marais. The idea of the DHB supporting and promoting the use of them is to get the message out about safe sleeping for babies on their back, face clear and smoke-free environment. And this is a simple, effective way of doing that type of promotion.
About 350 people in the Pacific Islands will receive the gift of better sight, thanks to Bay of Plenty residents. Specsavers Mount Maunganui recently called on locals to donate their used glasses to visually impaired people in developing countries. The glasses have been handed over to the Greta Lions Club, who will quality check, label and package the specs before giving them to volunteer ophthalmologic services overseas for distribution to those with poor eyesight in the Pacific Islands. Now the region's weather. Hamilton, Tuesday there is some showers, some may be heavy and then they will clear in the afternoon. You also have a southerly wind which will also change in the afternoon. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 8. Tauranga, your Tuesday will be muggy too, rain heavy in the morning and easing in the afternoon. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 11. Just ahead, two very passionate women trying to enhance our bond with our newborns. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. There is a local charitable trust that is making a difference to the way our children are being brought up. Their parenting programs are about the importance of attachment and bonding with your child.
The parenting program is called SAFE. Secure Attachment Family Education. We are aiming for parents who are pregnant between 20 and 28 weeks to join our program. It is a program that I brought back from Germany from Dr. Karl-Heinz Brisch, who has developed it in Germany, and Tensi and I have the monopoly to start the program in New Zealand. It is a 10-day program over 16 months. So four times, once a month before birth, and 6 times between 1 month and 12 months to teach the parents everything there is to know about attachment, the secure emotional bond with their babies. That is because I brought the program back because it is Tensi and I really believe in it and are passionate about it, because we feel that we are already in about the 5th generation of insecure attachment disorders. And we need to make changes, and if we don't go back to the beginning, to the roots, to help the mothers to understand how important the first year of life is. That is the time when the baby is shaped with the parents' availability, with the parents nurturing them, to keep this baby safe and secure, and we need to teach the parents that, because I sincerely believe that young parents have lost the art of parenting and don't know what to do anymore. And we are not judgmental about this, but we simply want to help those parents to turn the situation around so that they can really enjoy their babies and their other children.
Who developed this?
Dr. Karl-Heinz Briesch, he is a psychiatrist in Munich, Germany, and I worked with him for several months, and he introduced me to the program SAFE and the program BASE.
So how do you actually try to enhance that emotional bond between a mother and a newborn?
Well, we teach the parents to hold the baby, to concentrate on holding the baby, not having noise around like television, like hanging on the mobile phone, but to concentrate on the baby, be present for the baby, so that the baby learns to feel safe and secure when he is with his parents. Because the fathers equally have an important task as well. It's not just the mother, but of course the mother is there more in the first year when the baby needs to be fed and so on.
Tansy, it can be a scary time for a new mum, first-time mum with a newborn. What are some tips to dealing with that anxiety?
I think a big thing, and particularly in my own experience and in my professional capacity, I've found that there's a lot of research, there's a lot of literature out there, and I think new parents are kind of feel the pressure to know what all the research findings are. I think really one huge suggestion is to just listen to your intuition. It is there somewhere, you just need to stop and listen to it and not get confused by all of the conflicting data and information that's now available to us. Often first-time mums, the first thing they do when there's an issue is they Google it, and it's not always the most sound advice. So really what programs like the SAFE program have to offer is we've got a supportive group of people all working from the same perspective to support these parents. And in terms of some tips is really just putting that time in early with your baby, getting to know your baby, and helping the baby get to know you. So then you can establish some flexible routines according to the baby's needs at the time, rather than something that you've kind of pulled off the internet or out of a book and you're trying to kind of impose onto the baby regardless of what it's telling you it needs. So I think that's a really big thing, listening to intuition, and also getting to know your baby well enough that you can develop a routine that suits that baby's needs.
And how does the child benefit from the program?
I think the big thing is really just giving the parents confidence in their ability to care for their children. The vast majority of parents out there really do want the best for their children, they're just not quite sure how to go about it. So we provide them with the support to build their confidence and develop strategies that work for their family. And that has a huge impact on these children and on these babies, because with added confidence, their parents are calmer in dealing with them, which then makes the baby calmer. So it has a huge effect on the whole family system.
Augustina, what are some tips to actually setting boundaries for a child, and when should we be starting to set boundaries?
Well, as Tansy mentioned, it's good to try and get into a flexible routine. That already, if that happens at certain times, that's already starting the basis of boundaries. And early on, so that's already very early on, and gradually when the babies develop and they grow up and they do certain things, it is good to say, no, look at mommy, that's not acceptable. They learn very early, and so yeah, gradually as the baby grows, as the baby develops, then you start really already setting the basics of the boundaries.
Is 3 months too young or too old to be starting to set boundaries?
I think it is more we as parents, and I'm already a grandmother, to have those boundaries more or less in place, the routine in place. So that helps the baby. But if the baby does something that's the parents think it's not acceptable at 3 months, that's a bit difficult. That's a bit young, of course. But as the baby starts to crawl and the baby starts to get into cupboards and it's unsafe, take it away, or say, no, that's not what we do. And trying to keep away from no, that's not what we do. Let's look at this. Or the baby cries, and to help the baby to think about something else, and to say, oh, look, look at this. And so the baby will learn to, to do that.
For more information about the work FABS does and on their workshops, visit fabs.org.nz. Coming up, the University of Waikato's latest win. The Waikato University have just gained 2 out of 6 teaching and learning research projects. Amy spoke with Bronwyn Cowie to find out more.
Yes, we're really pleased that we were so successful with this recent Teaching and Learning Initiative round of projects, and those projects focus in on what can we do to help teachers enhance teaching and learning. And with these projects, we are actually working with children ranging from about 6 years up to engineering students at the University of Waikato. So we've been really pleased to have that opportunity to do that work and collaborate with teachers and lecturers around this area.
So how often does this opportunity come up, and what was the process taken to gain the funding?
Well, there's a chance to bid for this fund once a year, and the Wolfe Malcolm Institute, where I'm at, with the Faculty of Education here, we've had a lot of success with this fund, and I think we've got a really good collaborative process for developing projects. So we would call around staff to find out who are interested, then we'd get together as a group, we talk together ideas for projects. Like my colleagues have got really good relationships with local schools, so one of these projects that we've just won was actually a suggestion from a teacher, sort of that came up in some sort of casual conversation. So we would then work with teachers and schools together to formulate a project so that it's important from our point of view that we're not researching on children and teachers, we're researching with them. So they will, if possible, be involved in the design of the project, because they really need to buy into the idea that, you know, this is a worthwhile initiative for them to spend time on.
Who are the projects funded by?
The projects are funded by the Ministry of Education, but the whole TLRI initiative is run by the New Zealand Council of Educational Research.
Now, how much funding did you gain, and how will this be split between the recipients?
As part of the bidding process, you can bid for different categories of funding. So across these 3 projects, we've got just under 500,000 and reasonably equally split. 2 of them just being undertaken by staff from here, but one of them is a collaboration between someone here and someone at NZCR. And I think that's a strength of the work that the Wolfe Malcolm does, in that a number of these projects have been collaborations. So with different universities around the country, different schools.
Can you tell us a bit about each of the projects that the recipients will be working on?
The first one that I'll talk about is called Cut, Copy and Paste, and it grew out of a thread of interest in the faculty with how does software actually influence the sorts of things we get to do in our lives. So one of the people on the project is a media studies person. So if we think about something like our iPhone or iPhoto, we don't really think much about what difference it makes to the sorts of things we're doing. So we are looking with that project at how does software influence people, and we've got some media studies people and some engineering students. So they're going to be asking, you know, what tools do I have that I can use? So that's one. And that's based here. And then the second one is looking at just young children's mathematics thinking. And I'm not sure if you've been reading lately, but there's been a lot of discussion about children's understanding of mathematics. So this is an initiative to start right with young children and help them think about how mathematics involves a lot of patterning. So the researchers on this project are going to go into a school, they're going to work with the teacher to design some teaching and learning activities for these young children. And one of the nice things I think about that is they're going to try and incorporate the children's different cultural backgrounds into that teaching and learning process. So that's the second one. And the third collaborative project is working with practicing teachers, and in part it's a response to the new curriculum, which has asked teachers to think about the competencies that students need for lifelong learning. So this project will be an opportunity for teachers to think about their practice, do action research, so they'll do some thinking as part of the research team, go back to their schools and classrooms, try something and come back. So those are the three.
And will they be working with local schools or nationwide to gather their research?
No, these three projects are locally based. One is in one school, one is on the campus. Now the one with the practicing teachers, we don't know yet fully where those teachers will be from, but we think from around this region.
So once completed, how might these results from each of these projects benefit students and teachers around the country?
We think that the findings should give teachers a deeper understanding of how to help quite diverse learners in these different areas of learning. So they should provide information for teachers.
And is there a way that viewers can keep up to date with how the projects are going?
Okay, there's two ways for that. One is the Wolfe Malcolm website will have updates on them, and the other one is the TLRI, which is the funder, have updates. And the projects working in schools, those teachers usually share their findings as they go along rather than waiting till the end.
Stay tuned to see how you could get funding for your project. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. $38 million has been set aside for the next 10 years to fund projects that support sustainable regional economic growth or promote environmental protection. Known as the Regional Infrastructure Fund, the Bay of Plenty Regional Council is currently assessing the applications for the fund. What is the Regional Infrastructure Fund?
It's a fund that's been set aside to support infrastructure in the Bay of Plenty to promote regional economic development.
So how much has actually been put aside?
$38 million over the next 9 years, with about $4 million a year has been set aside.
Is this essentially a loan?
No, it depends on what the applicant applies for. It could be a loan or a grant or equity investment. We recently had an expression of interest and 52 people applied for the fund, and there was a mixture of people who were wanting a grant or a loan or equity. They were actually seeking $250 million. So this will be a hotly contested fund. There isn't enough funding to fund all those projects.
And who is actually able to apply for that funding?
Any organisation that's a reputable legal entity. So in the expression of interest we had city councils, district councils, Māori organisations, private organisations, public organisations. It's open to anybody who's got a project about promoting regional economic development.
So government projects are actually able to apply for the funding?
Yes, they can, as long as they can demonstrate how that project will achieve greater regional economic development.
Can already existing projects apply?
Yes, if it is for new or additional infrastructure, because we're really interested in growing the economy and creating more jobs and more investment opportunities.
What are you looking for in a project?
Well, it's not about the council getting any commercial return. This is purely about growing the economy. We want to see more jobs in the Bay, investment opportunities and increased productivity. So this is a fund to assist with that.
Do any other councils in New Zealand actually provide a fund like this?
Not that we're aware of in New Zealand, but in Australia they do, and it's well used in certain parts of Australia.
So what's happening in Australia?
Well, I know in New South Wales they've looked at promoting investment that supports regional economic development, like promoting universities, promoting towns that look as if they're dying, to generate wealth in those towns. It's been very successful in Australia.
So why did the Bay of Plenty Regional Council want to offer this fund?
The Bay of Plenty Regional Council is interested in facilitating regional economic development, and we use opportunities that we have. We're in a privileged position of having $38 million to give away, but we also work with industry and with others in the Bay of Connections work, because clearly growing the economy is important to the Bay of Plenty.
Where has the money come from?
The money has come from the council was in a position where they could raise funds a few years back, and they raised money for infrastructure. So it's this council has quite an investment portfolio, and that's where the money has come from.
So the council is actually wanting to fund a new project every year?
It depends on the applications. It could be that they fund 15 projects, small projects that want a little contribution to a larger cost. It could be that they fund one project over 3 years that wants $15 million. The key is how that project can demonstrate it's creating jobs and investment opportunities in the Bay of Plenty.
Why is funding to replace existing infrastructure ineligible?
It's about adding value to the economy, it's about growing, it's about adding more. Certainly additional infrastructure can apply to the fund, but this is about growth.
Does the council actually essentially own the project if it funds it?
No, not necessarily. So if a project wanted a loan or a grant, then the council would have no ownership interest. But if the project wanted an equity investment, then there may be an ownership interest.
So the money that you will grant to the winning project, you won't have any share in that project?
No, not necessarily. It depends on how the funding is allocated. Yeah, so it's really exciting in terms of the focus on regional economic development for this region.
When and where will we know about who is the winning project?
We'll know in June. At the moment, applications are due on the 7th of February, and we're really encouraging people to put in strong applications because of the demand. We'll spend a period of time shortlisting those applications, with the council making decisions in June this year.
Applications for the Regional Infrastructure Fund close on the 7th of February, and all details can be found on the Bay of Plenty Regional Council's website. That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.